What if the person holding you back isn't your past, isn't your circumstances, isn't your lack of talent? What if the person holding you back is the version of you that you've become comfortable being? Think about that for a moment, because the most powerful transformation in your life won't happen when the world changes. It will happen when your identity changes. Most people believe reinvention is something dramatic: a new city, a new career, a new relationship, a new year, a fresh start. But science suggests something very different. Real change rarely begins on the outside. It begins in the mind. Every day, your brain strengthens the patterns you repeat, the thoughts you think, the actions you take, the stories you tell yourself. Over time, these patterns become identity, and identity becomes reality. Imagine a stick figure walking the same path through a field every day. At first, there is no trail, but after months of repetition, a visible path appears. The grass bends, the ground hardens. The route becomes automatic. Your brain works the same way. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. The brain constantly rewires itself based on repeated experience. You become what you repeatedly do, not instantly, but inevitably. This is both the bad news and the good news, because if repeated actions created your current life, repeated actions can create a new one. The problem is that many people try to change behavior without changing identity. They say, I want to exercise. I want to read more. I want to be disciplined. But deep down, they still see themselves as the same person. And eventually, old patterns pull them back. True reinvention begins with a different question. Not, what do I want to achieve? But who am I becoming? Because every action becomes easier when it aligns with identity. A person who sees themselves as healthy behaves differently. A person who sees themselves as focused makes different decisions. A person who sees themselves as capable responds differently to setbacks. The goal is not forcing behavior. The goal is becoming the kind of person for whom that behavior feels natural. Consider a ship changing direction in the middle of the ocean. At first, the adjustment is tiny, barely noticeable, but over time, that small shift leads to an entirely different destination. Many people underestimate small changes because they expect immediate results. But transformation is often invisible in the beginning. A single workout changes very little. A single page read changes very little. A single early morning changes very little. Yet repeated hundreds of times, these actions reshape an entire life. The modern world encourages quick fixes, instant results, overnight success. But meaningful reinvention follows a different timeline. Trees do not become forests overnight. Mountains are not formed in a day. And people do not become new versions of themselves through one decision alone. They become new through repetition. One choice, then another, then another. There is another important truth. Reinvention often requires letting go. Not just adding new habits, but releasing old identities. The person who constantly says, I've always been this way, remains trapped by their history. The person who says, I'm becoming someone new, creates possibility. Your past explains you. It does not define you. Yet many people continue carrying outdated versions of themselves long after they've outgrown them. Old fears, old mistakes, old labels, old limitations. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents an old belief. I'm not confident. I'm not disciplined. I'm not creative. I'm not capable. The longer you carry these stones, the heavier life becomes. Reinvention begins when you put them down. Not because the journey becomes easy, but because it becomes possible. The most remarkable thing about the human brain is that it remains adaptable, even years from now, even after setbacks, even after failures. The story is never finished, as long as you continue writing it. One day, you'll look back at the person you are today and realize they were simply the beginning, a rough draft, a starting point, not the final version. So if you've been waiting for permission to start over, you already have it. You don't need a new year. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need certainty. You only need a decision to become. Because reinvention is not an event. It's a practice. And every small choice you make today is quietly shaping the person you'll become tomorrow. This is the quiet upgrade. Small shifts, extraordinary lives. Until next time, keep becoming someone your future self will thank you for.